What's up, guys? Welcome to Dynasty Dudes. I feel good to be back, dude. It's been such a fun couple of
It's been
days.
a crazy
I don't know.
week.
Yeah, dude. I've been so unproductive. It's been awesome.
I've
Wish I
taken
didn't
the
have that much
most
to do.
30-minute poops at work I've ever taken. Like,
Dude, it's just you're. My phone just keeps blowing up.
yeah,
Like it just.
three buzzes and I'm on the
I
toilet. Like, I'm just out of here.
I still am waiting. As the proud Mike Williams owner, I'm still sitting by the phone, like looking. As soon as that happens, I'll probably be like, okay, I don't need to check every time I get a Twitter notification. But because right now, because that's kind of the last shoe to drop. And then as soon as that happens, I'm gonna let my guard down, and Cortland Sutton's gonna get traded.
If you're leaning on Cortland Sutton this year, you've made a mistake. I mean,
I'm not leaning, and I like Cortland Sutton.
so
I
do
just think
I.
he's good, and I hope,
But
yeah,
but
I
that
just I
QB
hope that
situation
he.
is going to be a question mark this year.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely is. I think they're gonna go Bo Nix at 12 or wherever they have. So that's my prediction. But anyway, let's pretend that my entire fantasy season doesn't rely on Cortland Sutton.
Oh,
Just my flex. He was the play. He's the week one flex play. I think
there
if
you
I'm looking
go.
at it,
I
yeah,
like that.
I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know if I do. We'll see. I like Bo Nix. We'll see. Hey, but how about you, dude? Dude? What have you been thinking? There's just been feels like there's been a lot.
Dude, so
It's
much
been
has
kind of a
happened.
mediocre couple days for you.
Well, I mean, I had some huge players get traded, some big trades on my own part. But I think the thing we should really open with is just like a Rogers watch. I feel like we talk about him every episode. And I just, double check. He's still in the league, right? He hasn't retired to go
He
start his
he
political
he is
career.
still he is still in the league, my friend. He sure is. And that's speaking of Mike Williams. I think that's the place I'm hoping he signs. Like
Yeah.
that makes the most sense to me. I mean, it's literally Garrett Wilson and nobody. So hoping that happens. But yeah, he exists, man. He sure
For
is. He
now.
posted on Twitter that he thought he does exist for now. He posted on Twitter that Sandy Hook is very much real. Um,
Gosh, I've never seen a more starting my political
okay.
career tweet.
I yeah, I'm not. Okay. What a. I mean, that was a decade and a half ago. At this point, we're still litigating Sandy Hook. So
Yeah. But like, what is he doing if he's not just taking a political stance? Why else would he tweet that?
yeah, yeah, it's bizarre. There were some accusations thrown his way that he was like a Sandy Hook denier, and then I was yeah. Anyway, it's a whole mess. I'm glad we're past it. So anyway, other than that, how are you feeling, man?
Oh
What are you
shoot.
thinking?
Well, I thought the big one, as the resident Hertz truther, has been the Kelsey retirement, right? Tush push, maybe getting banned, maybe it's dead without Kelsey. Looking up just like clips of Kelsey as a pulling center, which I'm sure nobody is prepared to watch. Like, I don't know, does Hertz hold his volume? So I've been thinking about that, and I think he's still a top three fantasy QB. I think he finishes top three. I do think he's going to hurt me in the playoffs again. Feels like that's his lot in life is have a decent year, ball out, and then, week two of fantasy playoffs, he's going to fall off, get injured or sit out a game or some bull honky like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious. Obviously, because of you, I follow the Jalen Hurts thing, quite a bit.
Well, he's only like a
I
repeat top five fantasy QB. I mean, it's not like,
totally. Yeah, there's no taking that away from him. I'm curious what Kellen Moore's offense, how that changes. Obviously,
yeah,
the Saquon signing, like, do they? I just am curious. Do they hand it off at the one more, or do they hand it off? There was a
yeah,
stat that the Eagles had like the most carries by running backs
yeah,
between the 2 and the 5 yard line, and then the least at the one.
yeah.
And so I'm just curious, like if they had a
I'm
better
just
running back who.
I'm just really hoping Saquon lost a step and starts getting tackled at the one. He can't finish. They're bringing him down right in that perfect 1.5 yard range for a tush push.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. I'll say this. Who knows how much? I think there's some step back in his production, fantasy production this year.
So
Now they might
I
be real life better. I don't know.
I
Like
disagree.
with
I,
Kellen
I
Moore.
I think that we see the red zone touchdown progression or regression. I think that he scores less tush push style touchdowns just with Saquon, with the league changing, with Jason leaving. I think that we see that slip a little. But I think that what did he have? 400 rushing yards on the year? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, probably
He
something
was
something
down
along those
quite a
lines.
bit from last year. I think that he is going to make up for the 1 yard tush push touchdown loss with scramble work. I think the new OC will be less afraid to run out there. What is he making? 30 a year or whatever, 50 a year. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Last year the OC felt like he played to protect Hurts, which takes away from Hurts's game. I think that they open him up more and let him do what he does best, which is extend the play, create opportunity, and run around with that ball.
Yeah, no, it's very possible. I will just say, so he scored 15 touchdowns last year. Again,
Amen.
like 10 of them were on the tush push. That's 90 fantasy points, and
Yeah, and if he loses
that,
seven, I think he gains seven. They're just going to be scrambles from the 20. I really do believe he's going to start moving that ball around more with his legs.
yeah, well, fair enough. Well, maybe it does happen, but I'm interested to see. I think it's one of the bigger stories, probably of the year, with Kellen Moore being hired, with Saquon coming in, and really just the Eagles in general, like what the direction of the team is, because really it really was a dumpster fire at the end. Like
The
it was
wheels fell
almost
off.
humorously bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and I mean, reports out of the locker room and team stuff after everything had settled, no one trusted the OC. I mean, what's their
oh yeah,
heck? Nick Sirianni was stepping in to change plays. The offense would change the play in the huddle. Clearly, there was some dysfunction between that coach and the team. And I just don't picture they bring in another OC that will be as untrustworthy. I think that they're gonna,
oh yeah. Well, Kellen Moore, yeah. I mean, he's obviously established it for what he is, and
yeah.
a lot of people thought that Kellen Moore would have a head coaching job by now. But yeah, I'm hoping for the best for Hurts, but I forgive me of just the skepticism of the. I think he will. I can pretty much guarantee that he is going to score less tush push touchdowns this year, and it remains to be seen.
That's fine. I think
Like
that he will still
how
have
what that.
a high volume rushing production. Here's the deal. Last offseason, you had the same level of doubt. You were pretty doubtful of Hurts and his production. I believe at one point you told me you thought he would slip out of the top 10. Next year, when you doubt him, I will accuse you of name fatigue. I will accuse you of name fatigue, where it's the same as like when our league started, nobody really wanted Mahomes. Like everyone did, but they didn't want to pay up because he was so good for so long, right? I think that this is a conversation that will happen every year. And I just don't see that Hurts isn't here to stay while he's young. Obviously, if he's 30, we can have a conversation about, hey, man, at some point his body's getting old. He can't take the hits he took. Things will change. But while he can run the ball, while he's still athletic and in his prime, I have no worries.
Yeah. Well, not because your team kind of relies on it, for sure.
I mean, what
Well,
team
yeah.
doesn't
So
rely on their QB1? I mean, I guess
I think some teams are.
Zeke's team does not rely on
Yeah,
his QB1,
yeah.
who
I
is
mean, he doesn't have a
maybe
QB
Justin
one.
Fields. It's maybe
I
Geno
think.
Smith.
Yeah, I think it might be Gardner Minshew. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. So not every team does, but I think you and there are other teams too. You build a team around one extremely elite asset, and that's a good thing. But you always have to analyze like what are the dangers going on with that asset. And so I'm with you.
Also,
I think
name check. My wide receiver room consists of AJ Brown, Debo Samuel, and Stephon Diggs. Like, I feel like that's a pretty darn hot wide receiver room. I don't know.
Rooting for you, dude. I am. I'm
Yeah.
rooting for you. I hope it works out. Um, we can move on real quick. We would be negligent to not touch on the Atlanta Falcons and what kind of that means for everybody and everyone who's held on to Drake London and Kyle Pitts specifically. I mean, it's good for Bijan too, but running backs are
They're
more
QB
QB
proof.
proof than
Yep.
yeah, give or take. So yeah, I mean, obviously big news for London and Pitts. I hope it works out for him. I own Pitts in another league. Hoping he is just used as basically a wide receiver too, just big bodied like that. Pitts and London basically play the X and Y. That would be pretty awesome.
Who are
Yeah,
you higher on? So Drake London, Kyle Pitts, obviously guys that were missing targets, not being utilized. Arthur Smith is a dumbass. Like, we can all agree those guys needed to be targeted more. Who do you see as the clear winner between London and Pitts?
well, I think if we're talking tight end premium, I think it just has to be Kyle Pitts. I think he turns into like an elite dynasty asset. I think you have to pump the brakes a little bit. Like I think if I was trying to make I wouldn't advise selling the farm for Kyle Pitts
Yeah.
right this second. I think
No,
that might be,
we're just talking,
but
perspective,
yeah,
opinion, whatever.
but I think that there is legitimate potential that he's, the next great tight end. Like
So I
that's
don't disagree. I'm back on the Pitt side. That's why I asked. I think even
yeah.
without tight end premium, it feels bold. Here's my first hot take for the day. I think that Kyle Pitts scores more standard PPR non-tight end premium fantasy points than Drake London. I think he does. I
Sure
think
possible. Yeah.
barring injury, I think he's a dog. I think he's the guy. I think that he will be a Kelsey type producer for that team. Not to take
Yeah.
away
I
from
mean,
Drake
he's like
London.
yeah, he's like a better athlete than Travis Kelsey. Like
Yeah, the dude's a freak.
he's awesome.
He can block and catch. I just think that he is going to go off this year. Like, I am looking at
Yeah.
him as my redraft tight end one, which, super cool because if he busts, then your season's chalked. But
Right.
I think that he's going to be huge.
Yeah. No, he's a big swing guy for sure. Like I'm also, and if you factor in tight end premium, which I basically think of our league as tight end premium at this point, even though this season it's technically not. Which maybe we can vote to extend that. Maybe this is just subtle lobby for anyone listening. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and do it now. Just for fun.
I would vote
I
to
think
move
we'd
tight
have
end
to vote for
premium
that.
now if you promise that forever you will be anti-waivers. If you will help me fight the anti-waiver fight.
I'm 100%. I'm all in on the anti-waivers.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
You don't have to convince me.
Good.
Yeah, waivers suck, dude.
They are
Waivers
for
suck.
the weak. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, waivers are horrible. No, and that's not taking away. Nope, nothing. Okay, sorry, I got a Twitter notification. Wasn't anything. We got right before we started recording. Van Jefferson signed with the Steelers, which doesn't matter. So,
that kind of matters. Hold on. I mean, he's their wide receiver too right now, right?
yeah, give or take. Yeah, I mean, they probably draft somebody. I don't know. Van Jefferson's at best he's a flex play. Like in
His ceiling is like wide receiver 50, but he's going to have 2 games where he scores 20 points.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
maybe your roster, but. Anyway, that's not taking away anything away from Drake London, who I think is also a really good player. Like
It's not
I've
a
always
diss on
liked-
Drake London. It's just what I
Yeah.
expect from Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, no, totally. So
Yeah.
anyway, all that to be said, let's just get this thing to tight end premium. Let's stop. Let's take off the training wheels. We don't need
While
to
we're
do
on the
it.
topic, I'm also going to push that we add that roster spot this season, or roster starting spot, whatever flex
See,
or
that's a
wide
little bit-
receiver we'd agree
that's a-
to.
That's a little bit scarier because like
What's the difference? One
Not
changes
everyone
scoring,
has-
one changes starters.
because like you have to get the depth to be able to. We'll talk about
You
that.
got to
But
get
anyway,
the depth at tight end for tight end premium to be relevant, right? Like,
yeah.
no,
Yeah, we'll
as
see.
a
I
guy
guess
who had one tight end
two-
last year, I had one tight end. If we were tight end premium, I would have made a trade. I would have made it happen.
So that's they actually kind of go hand in hand because when you do have tight end premium, you can start multiple tight ends,
Yep.
and so that
I
actually might
I
work.
won a championship where I was starting Dalton Schultz, David Njoku, and tight end for the 49ers. How am I forgetting his name? Kittle.
Kittle.
I started all three of those guys, and I won my championship. Starting three tight ends is not that cool, but sometimes it'll get you where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you, man. I get you. Hey, we should talk real quick just about how we're now aligned in a certain way. We're both have deep fandom for the Green Bay Packers now.
Oh, I
Very,
wanted to be pro Jordan Love. I just want to draw that line. I hated Jordan Love because you loved him so much. You
yeah, and that's
questioned
fair.
Jalen Hurts. You questioned Jalen Hurts because I love him so much. I hated Jordan Love because you were so hype on him, so excited. I would have been pro Jordan Love if you did not own him and it was just us chatting. But
fair
I
enough.
just could not help but dislike the thing you love. What's a good friend if they don't hate things you care about? Like,
I that's big, dude. I appreciate that, dude. I
yeah,
really do.
Jordan Love is here to
Um,
stay. I was clearly wrong. I paid up on my bets. We can move on with the whole Jordan Love versus no Jordan Love thing.
well, I'm
Green
not
Bay
even
did it.
talking Jordan Love though. Yeah, well, Josh Jacobs is now a Green Bay Packer
True.
who I think that's about like the best landing spot he could have had.
Yeah.
Like that's like
Yeah, I
he's
liked
gonna
him
be
on
in
the
that
Raiders. I get you. And AJ Dillon is no
dude.
competition if he even stays in Green
No,
Bay. Like,
he did. He signed this weird. There was a provision in the rules that I had never heard of.
so
Basically, like a 4-year qualifying offer. I don't know how. It's like
they have
it's
like an
like a
out every
crappy
year.
franchise tag.
Yeah, it's such a shit
Like
contract or a crappy contract. He should fire
yeah,
his agent because he got kind of boned.
I just don't think he had. I don't think he had a market. You know, I think he liked Green Bay enough, and
Yeah,
I don't know. So they brought him back. I guess so. I think he's making like double league minimum, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
he's
Whatever.
not making a lot. He really isn't.
No, I mean, in regards to like the grand scheme of things, 3 million bucks is quite a bit of change. That's kind of sick.
True.
But yes, he's making chump change in NFL standards.
But
Um,
man, it's going to be incredible when Jordan Love hands off all those rushing touchdowns to Josh Jacobs.
yeah, we'll see what happens. As long as they're jet sweeps to Christian Watson, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's an awesome like in terms of Jordan Love and the Packers offense. They clearly were better when they had a good run game. Like
Yeah.
that was definitely like the Matt LaFleur offense. They want to establish the run, and that's where Jordan Love shines. So
Yep.
I'm all for it. And if it means that a few touchdowns go to Josh Jacobs, Mazel tov. Like Jordan Love will eat because the play action game opens up around him.
Oh, yeah.
When people are fearing Josh Jacobs. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it all the way around.
I
You
agree.
should be a fan of it.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Jacobs, he redraft. I mean, shoot, you're talking about like the RB6. That's just literally a number I pulled off the top of my head. But I mean, you're talking like CMC, Kyron Williams. I don't know who else. Bijan. That's 3. I mean, and pretty soon you're talking about Josh Jacobs.
Jets running back, Brees Hall.
Yeah, so Brees Hall, so that's 4. But after that, yeah, I mean, Rashad White's kind of a weird one.
Yeah. You got one
yeah.
crazy person in the league, Devin Arcane, whatever the hell. He's gonna go.
I believe it's
early.
Achan nowadays.
Achan.
Yeah, Devin Achan.
Loose bag
But
up.
like, I don't know
Bull.
about the reliability of his touches. Like
Totally.
I think I would take Rashad White.
But
I would take Rashad White over Devon Achan. But
it takes one crazy person, and all of a sudden he's going in the top 6 running backs.
totally. So anyway, Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's in that conversation like RB 5, 6 kind of territory. So
Yeah.
with the Packers this year in redraft. So big get for you, dude.
Happy.
Stoked.
On the same note, I own Aaron Jones in a lot of leagues because he's old and he's cheap and nobody wants him. And he went to the Titans.
The Vikings.
Vikings. Great. I would say
Yeah.
similar situations. Well, that's not fair. The Vikings have a lot of mouths to feed and nobody to feed them. Titans have no
Well, I
mouths to
mean,
feed and nobody
that's
to
the
feed them.
well, the Vikings. I think the Vikings are a weird spot right now. Sam Darnold's their quarterback, but they just made that trade for the 24th, 23rd overall pick.
Yeah.
Um, so they're probably going to trade up and get a guy. My guess is it's either going to be Drake May or Jaden, or not Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is probably going to Washington at 2.
Yep.
And so it'll probably be either Drake May or JJ McCarthy. And I think those are interesting. That's going to be an interesting situation. Like, I think those are two guys who are definitely in consideration to sit for a year behind Sam Darnold, just because
Yeah.
they're both raw. And I think enough people have, like, last year with Bryce Young, like that
I don't
probably scared.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I own a couple Vikings assets. None of the fancier ones. I don't have Addison or Jefferson, but I have a lot of shares in Hawk and a lot of shares in Aaron Jones. And I do not want to have to watch Sam Darnold play football. Please don't make
Dude,
me.
I think he's better than people give him credit for. You know,
He
obviously
is Mitch
he gets drafted.
Trubisky.
No, he's not. I don't know if I agree with that. I think he's there's a here's the thing. Mitch Trub, guess who didn't when Kyle Shanahan wants a guy, I listen to that. Like, I think that's an important
That's
thing.
fair. That's a
So
good point.
Yeah, yeah. So Kyle Shanahan, I mean, like, the same thing with Baker. Like, Sean McVay wanted Baker,
Yep.
and it's like, wow, that's an opinion I care about. Mitch Trubisky went to a defensive coach with Matt Canada, literally in the conversation for worst offensive coordinator of all time. Like, legitimately, the modern NFL, he was one of the
Yeah.
worst play callers that you could even imagine. And the Pittsburgh Steelers were like, oh yeah, this guy, like, has a lot of traits, and they don't, you know, like, oh, he's 6'4" and handsome, you know, like,
He turns
I
on
like the
my
cut of
wife.
his
We should
jib.
draft that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, the Bears draft him, the Steelers go pick him up. It's like, you know, like, where Sam Darnold, it's like, okay, man, people who, and again, Kevin O'Connell too, like, he's in that same tree.
Yeah.
Like, people I actually respect offensively, looking at it and saying, this guy, there's something to this guy.
No,
And
I get
so
that.
yeah, so I do think, and I think, you know, they paid him $10 million. That's not exactly backup quarterback money. So
Yeah.
my guess is if I were to put money on it, I think what they're going to do is they're going to trade up either with the Chargers or the Cardinals, maybe even the Patriots, but I think one of those, and they're going to take JJ McCarthy.
I
And
think.
again, JJ McCarthy,
Yeah.
I mean, if they trade up to 3, then maybe they could, you know, take May. But I'm kind of acting under the assumption that May's going to be gone. Nice. Oh,
Sorry, I'm just watching my neighbors. Yeah, I don't have my blinds
funny.
open a lot, and man, I live in a weird ass neighborhood. It has nothing to do. Yeah, sorry. JJ
Dude,
McCarthy.
shout out, man.
Yeah. Shout
Yeah,
out
so
to this
that's what I think.
skinhead. Yeah.
Dude, there's some skinheads in Spokane, man.
Well,
That's
it's
all.
just this bald little boy dragging his scooter up and down the stairs. It looks bad. It looks dumb. I should have closed my blinds. I'm sorry, man.
All good, dude. All good. Anyway, so that's what I think happens. Which, again, like I said, I think there's a chance. You know, really, the last 2 years, there's been, you know, with Geno and then Baker, there's been a resurrector. There's been someone who has been through the ringer.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold is so young. He is 3 days younger than me.
He's 26. Yeah. No, he's got football left to give. Yeah.
So, anyway, I think you should be cautiously optimistic if you have Vikings pass catchers.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Also, that Vikings pass catching group is just getting too deep. Aaron Jones is a check down guy. You've got T.J. Hawkinson, who I'm a big fan of, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison. At some point, enough is enough, and if it's not Mahomes, they're not going to throw the ball enough to really share the love. And so I'm worried that if you don't own Justin Jefferson, you will be disappointed in your Vikings pass catchers.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jordan Addison's value was inflated last year when Justin Jefferson was out for sure. Like that's
It
true.
might have been rightfully so. That man had some truly incredible catches. He was,
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just it reminds me too much. I mean, it reminds me a ton of AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. Like it's
mm, yeah,
like is he gonna be good? Yeah.
Tyreek
Is
Hill,
it?
Jalen Waddle. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's another one. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like at some point there are like you can't it there what 2022 Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle were both wide receiver ones. That's the only time
Yeah.
I remember like two players becoming wide receiver ones in the same offense, and their
It
target share was
happens.
like
Pittsburgh did
insane.
it with Juju and
And Brown,
yeah, different Brown.
Antonio
Sorry, and
Brown,
thank you,
Antonio
Antonio
Brown,
Brown.
yeah, yeah,
I'm trying to think of other. Lockett and DK have never done it right. It's one or the other,
no,
and it's always Lockett that finishes higher until
no,
last year.
like it's not like they can both be good. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like one is a wide receiver one, one's a wide receiver two. And
yeah.
so, and I think Addison right now is kind of being treated like a wide receiver one just because he's so young and everyone's excited about what happened last year. But I can't imagine.
I
But
love it. I'm a
Hawkinson,
big fan. I think Jordan Addison's really going to help thin out some of those second round draft picks because I'm not drafting him and somebody's going to take him. He'll help better
yeah,
guys
Jordan
fall.
Addison, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, no, that's actually true. But so we'll kind of we'll see what happens. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about some like what's been going on with my Jacksonville Jaguars of Duval County. Duval, big fan.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to get a Duval hat. They're sold out of these bright green ones. And they're really cool looking. Uh, but anyway, so Jacksonville goes, signs Gabe Davis, lets Calvin Ridley walk. Sadly, he gets swooped up by the Titans. That's kind of its own conversation. I actually really like. I really like the Gabe Davis signing for Jacksonville. Real quick, Rob, are you closing your blinds right now?
No, I muted my camera because I just don't care about Jacksonville. So I'm letting you
Dude,
talk. And
turn it. Boo, boo. Turn it back. Boo, boo. Come back. There you are.
I'm here.
Hey,
My
I'm
mic
just,
wasn't muted. Look, man, I got no investments. I think I own, who's the running back there? ETN. I own him somewhere
yeah,
on accident. I think I was drinking when I drafted him.
I remember that.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah. Anyway, I don't have anything to contribute, so I was just going to let you go and let the people
I was
know.
just well, so the only thing I'll say about it is that Gabe Davis, I think one of the problems that Jacksonville's had since they've had Trevor Lawrence is they haven't had that big body contested catch wide receiver, and that's sort of what Trevor Lawrence has always needed. Like he's a little bit of a huck it up there, and he needs someone to win the 50-50 ball, and he just has never had that. Like even his tight end Evan Ingram is kind of a slot guy. Like he's really not a between the hashes big body. He's only like 6'3", which is at the bottom end of how big a tight end's supposed to be. And so I really think a lot of people are taking a look at this like, wow, the wide receiver room is quite a bit worse than it was. They're going to make some other move at wide receiver to replace Calvin Ridley's production, but I really think the Gabe Davis move is pretty massive for Trevor Lawrence. I don't hate it.
I do have something to contribute. I was wrong.
There you go.
Gabe
There
Davis
you go.
hype is a trap. Again, what is this? The fourth year in a row that his value is going to rise and he's going to finish as the wide receiver 35 or 40.
Hey, that's a wide receiver 3, baby.
I think that for NFL value, Gabe Davis to the Jags is awesome. I think it's awesome. He's a playmaker. He will block for an entire game and not complain. He can catch the ball. He's a good athlete. For fantasy football, he is a dang trap. He is just going
So
to. Whoever owns Gabe Davis right now will not take less than the 110 for him. I betcha. And I do not believe he
So
puts up a 110 performance.
so here's the thing with Gabe Davis, which is so as someone who's been following now, you're new to the club, so welcome to it. The Buffalo Bills pass catching unit watch.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hell.
Oh, I
Um,
am super stoked to have a guy that on paper is like a wide receiver one on my team. I am not
yeah,
stoked to care about what's happening with the Bills offense because those
yeah,
games
it's
are tragic.
well. So the thing with the Bills and just Josh Allen in general, he so the games are really bizarre because the game plans are just different every time, and that's, I mean, not every team to a degree is gonna have that kind of situation, but you'll just have a game where they just pound the rock. They're clearly targeting different guys. It's so the Gabe Davis situation. There were games he just like wasn't targeted. Maybe he just wasn't getting open. I don't
No,
pretend to
they
be like
talked
an
about it.
expert X's and
So I did follow the Bills before, and literally their head coach came out and said, "Hey, we had him blocking the whole game or running fake routes to pull people off digs. We'll target him next week." And then the next week he went off for like, 6 catches and 100 yards and a touchdown or whatever.
it.
But
Yeah, it's one of those things, and like I experienced it with Kincaid. It was one of those things. It was like, dang, some weeks Kincaid was the centerpiece of the offense, and sometimes it was like, oh, we're just playing Dawson Knox. Like it was
yeah,
that was just the Buffalo Bills. And I mean, even towards the end, like the one consistent had been Stephon Diggs, but even towards the end, it was like, dude, they were taking Stephon Diggs off the field on like critical third downs, like regularly,
yeah,
and
I
like
get you.
that's
But Gabe Davis he's a hype trap. I've got a list of them. We can go over hype traps later. But no,
Well,
thank you.
obviously, Gabe did when coming off that insane divisional round game back in 2022. Like, obviously, that was like the peak of the Gabe Davis hype, right?
Yeah.
Like that was on a little bit of a different different
That was a
level.
whole different game.
But
I get you.
yeah, yeah, but I do think like that it's cooled off a little bit, and I mean, we'll see. Like, I don't. There's a shot. I'm trying to think of other guys who kind of fall into this category. So, I mean, like this is kind of an extreme example because he was so good, but like Tyreek Hill in Kansas City actually like improved in Miami because he was the focal point of the offense. Now he was still extremely good in Kansas City, but there were weeks where like I remember I drafted Tyreek Hill in the first round in 2022 in redraft, and it was like, yeah, he'd have 40-point weeks, but then he would like have 9-point weeks because the Kansas City offense was just kind of really spread out. Like
If
that
if
was that
your
was
wide
just how they.
receiver one's floor is a 9 point week, that is awesome. That is fantastic.
Oh, you don't want a 9-point week from your wide receiver.
Whatever,
One,
man.
that's horrible.
My wide receiver one was AJ Brown last year, and I know he dropped a couple three bombs on me. Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
that's how it be.
There's only
Yeah.
so
So
many
anyway,
guys that, yeah,
yeah. So all that to be said, it'll be interesting. Like if Gabe Davis does kind of operate as sort of like an alpha X kind of receiver, which he might have to kind of do that.
yeah.
We'll see. And then real quickly, I'll touch on Calvin Ridley because he signed the biggest wide receiver contract of this free agency, and I do own him, and I have mixed
Yeah.
feelings about it. I really do. Like it all comes down to like
It's such a
that
dumb contract.
dude. Well, it really all comes down to is that coked out meathead gonna be able to play quarterback well? And I think the nice thing, here's my conclusion that I've come to.
Oh,
I think Will Levis is Jameis Winston. He, dude, dude, Jameis Winston was awesome for fantasy wide receivers. Like he was great for Mike Williams. Like that was dude. He did not care, bro. He was hucking that pill, dude. Like like
I
he
get you.
was
But
he.
the fact that and we talked about this in the chat, and so everyone that watches us was in the chat, but I'm going to bring it up again. I cannot believe that they paid Calvin Ridley $7 million less than AJ Brown had requested when AJ Brown is damn near, what, 5 years younger, half a decade younger? And they're like, no, we will trade you. I don't know,
You
man.
got to remember they were operating that 1940 style offense at the time. Vrabel was the head coach, even though Vrabel wanted to keep AJ Brown. But like
Yeah.
they were, it was a completely different regime.
I'm not mad
And
about
now
it. I
they're,
love AJ Brown on the
yeah,
Eagles, but
yeah.
that is a franchise that to me is just riddled with mistakes. I do not want to trust them. I do not want their assets. I don't know.
I'm excited. I think they're gonna like even their running backs. You have Tony Pollard and you have Tajay Spears. Neither of those are like ground and pound style runners. That they're kind of both guys that are designed to kind of have some explosion, like make explosive plays. I
Yeah.
think they're gonna try to really like the newer offensive coordinator that I had to look up. He was the passing game coordinator in Jacksonville. Like the new head coach was the OC in Cincinnati. Like they are going to try and sling the ball all
They're
over
going to
the
air it
field.
out.
They're going to
Yep.
run. Yeah, and that's a good thing. Like regardless of how it goes in real life, it's a good thing for fantasy. Because again, if Will Levis throws a bunch of picks, as a Calvin Ridley owner, I could care less. Like that's not that ain't on me, dude. Jameis Winston he was giving Mike Evans 1,400 yards while throwing 30 picks. Like it just
The
30
world's a
picks.
better place if Jameis Winston has a job as a starter. I don't want it to be for
I
my
hope it,
team, but I want it to be somewhere because he's so
he's the
entertaining.
backup in He's the backup in Cleveland, bro. It's gonna.
Oh
I mean, if
man, he is
Deshaun
a
Watson
massage away from starting. That's incredible.
isn't that the best?
It
I
is.
think it really could happen. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
it really could.
Or
Is there any
or an
other?
injury.
Yeah, yeah, injury. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there any other major breaking news? I mean, I think there's stuff that's like really chalk. Like, dude, okay, Derrick Henry went to the Ravens. Like, that's gonna be good. Like,
Oh, I mean, what are you willing to pay for Derrick Henry? And if you own Derrick Henry, what will you sell him for?
yeah. I mean,
Win
it's
now. I
it's
mean,
tough. Like,
obviously, if you're buying him, you're win now. But
right. Yeah, I mean it's somewhat similar. I mean kind of similar. He's quite a bit younger, but I bought Zach Moss in a little bit of a bulk trade, kind of a similar deal.
you just
He's
compare
now
Zach
the.
Moss to Derrick Henry.
I think they're similar in the fact that they're late career and they're going to be the feature back in their offense.
Yeah.
Like I mean Zach Moss is a good player. Like he just always has been. He just kind of has been bounced around the
Yeah.
league.
Derrick Henry's the
But
first
no,
ballot Hall of Famer. Zach Moss will not make a ballot.
I think a 31-year-old Derrick Henry, like that. We're talking like different age bracket for
It
sure. But yeah,
doesn't matter. I don't know. Derrick Henry didn't show us that he'd lost it. He showed us that he'd lost the trust in snap share. Um, I don't know, man. I think that Derrick Henry might finish top five for running backs this year with that Baltimore offense and just his touchdown potential and how much they want to just pound the rock. The dude could go out and
yeah. I
drop
mean,
I don't know, a billion touchdowns. Yeah, I don't know
yeah.
what his
I mean,
touchdown line is, but if Vegas sets it at 10.5 or less for the year, I think I'm taking the over.
yeah. No, I mean, you look at what happened with Gus Edwards last year. Clearly, like they don't want Lamar taking those shots. They
Yes.
they are very comfortable giving it to. I mean, Gus last year, but now they're going to be giving it to Derrick Henry on the one. I don't think his volume is going to be very high. As is always the case with Derrick Henry, he doesn't catch passes, but it's going to be so it'll be interesting. But I do think his value. Like back when he was in Tennessee, he was getting 20 plus touches. Like that was Derrick Henry's game. He would get so many touches.
Hmm.
That won't be the case in Baltimore. He's going to get.
Let's just take a moment for Alec, who has to go find free parking because there's no parking left in our assigned spots.
Yikes!
Suck it.
Yikes! Who took it?
Me and
Danny take it?
Me and Danny did.
That's so fun. That's hilarious. Good for you guys. Good for you
Yeah,
guys.
sorry. It just
No,
look on his
no,
face
that's
was
fantastic.
pissed.
Yeah, that's great. Well, dude,
Anyway, you
yeah,
were
I'm trying
saying.
to think. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. I think it's going to be a good landing spot. Yeah, I struggle in a PPR league that he would be top five. I think he could definitely be an RB1, but
Dude, I
I
mean,
think
just
his
think of
his
all the red zone opportunity. The Ravens can move the ball. Their defense can force turnovers. Oh man, that guy could be putting up like 1.2 touchdowns a week and be a must start. And
yeah, I mean, I think he has to. He's talking about think of a guy like Raheem Mostert last year who scored 22 touchdowns or something crazy. Like
yeah,
that's a huge number.
yep,
Like I kind of and Raheem Mostert like caught passes. That's also part of his game. Like he catches passes, and so I sort of think like Derrick Henry would have to be around that number to be like in the elite fan,
yeah,
which is it's very possible that that
yeah.
happens. Like he could break the touchdown record. Like that's like a possible thing that happens. But
I
like
yeah, I've been wrestling
that
with
that's a lot of touchdowns. Like that's
it is. I'm wrestling with how much am I willing to ship for Derrick Henry. Like I just made a trade with the Derrick Henry owner. I got Stephon Diggs off him. That was great. But I was in the process trying to fish out how little can I spend on Derrick Henry. Because I really do believe, I mean, he's a 1 year guy. You're not expecting 2 years out of him. But you want a league winning running back. I think that he might be it.
dude. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would potentially stay away just because the
I
name
get
value
you.
alone is yeah.
I don't have it up, but I bet you his yards per carry last year were solid. I bet you he's pushing 4.8,
Sure was.
4.9.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Again, in the PPR league, no pass catching volume, none.
Yeah,
Uh, you
yeah.
have like again, it's gonna be he is not going the offense is not gonna run through him in Baltimore. It's just not. He
But the red
will
zone
get
might. But the red zone might.
he it's not might like he will get every
Yeah,
goal line touch. Like
yeah. And that's
that's
the
the
killer.
kicker.
You hate
Like
the tush push. I mean, we're gonna hate the Derrick Henry 3 yard.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I could be super wrong. I haven't made any investments in Derrick Henry because I'm not sure how I actually want to treat it, what I want to spend, how I see it. But I think that if there is a guy to roll the dice on, that might be the guy. If
Derrick
that makes
Henry or
sense.
Joe Mixon.
Derrick Henry, are you kidding me? Joe Mixon looked last year. He looked
I
banged
mean,
up. He
he
looked
he's gonna
slow. His touches were bad. I bet you he had less than 3.5 yards per carry last year.
dude. Yeah. I mean, so much of that year was without the whole Bengals offense last year was bizarre. Like it was definitely like Joe Burrow was bad for the first 7 weeks or something.
Totally.
Like, and then he was good for like 4 weeks, and then he got hurt, and then it was Jake Browning. So it's like it's tough to judge like anything that happened with Cincinnati last year because like
I
they
get
had
you,
two
but
weeks with healthy Joe Burrow. But dude, I don't know, man. Like Texans offense, he's going to be the feature back. He does have PPR upside. It'd be close to me. It'd be close. Joe Mixon versus Derrick Henry.
yeah, I think week
That how
two,
about
Derrick
how about
Henry
Aaron Jones or
versus.
Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry.
Oh man, I love Aaron Jones so much. That guy
So do
literally,
I.
like, was it this year or last year that he was averaging 8 yards per carry up through week three? He was just
It
a.
might have been.
He was a behemoth. Oh, that's so tough. I'm gonna say Aaron Jones because he's cheap. He's cheaper than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry owners
It's
will
probably true.
probably not ship him for less than a late first. Aaron Jones, you might
Yeah,
be able to
I
get him
think.
for a second.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's interesting.
But I think Derrick
Yeah,
Henry finishes higher. I really think he finishes top 10 or top 10, top five. I just
top
think,
five. See,
dude, I think the stars are lining
I
up in
can't.
Baltimore. They love to run. Derrick Henry can run like an MFer. I mean,
We'll see, man. I think it's. I just don't think he gets the volume to get to that echelon. I think it's just
you might be
too
right.
much.
You might be right. But
Yeah,
also, he's old. He has no Super Bowls. He's probably willing to pull out all the stops. I think if there was a time, the time is now.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. But any last closing thoughts? Anyone we wanna quickly touch on and that you're just stoked about?
I mean, honestly, I don't love Rashad White, but I'm stoked about most of the Buccaneers. Mike Evans,
Mm,
Baker Mayfield. I don't know what their fantasy value will be, but man, I'm excited to watch them play football. That feels like a scrappy team, an exciting team. They won a playoff game last year. Like, I would have been all Buccaneers in the playoffs if they had not played the Eagles first round.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. I understand all that.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing, and I think it's almost like a teaser for the next episode that we do because we got to put one out more recently than what we've done. Um, I, dude, I think there are going to be a lot of busts in this draft class. I think,
Yeah.
dude, I think people who are looking to rebuild right now and they're relying on draft picks to do it. I think there are going to be some problems, man. I think there
You
are
know
going to
what's
be some
worse
big
than
misses.
trading for one bust in the draft, like having one bad first round pick, having three.
Did you have three
No, I don't have three. I'm just really excited for the guys that have two or three to feel the sting
and
of
just
first
have,
round picks aren't all that.
dude? I mean, yeah, like last year there were quite a few. Like, I mean, Bryce Young and
Dude.
Quentin Johnston were like those two were pretty brutal.
But for what
Um,
you were paying for a first last year, how many guys lived up to that team value expectation?
I mean, Stroud exceeded it.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, it's tough to know. Like, I don't know. I am not sold on Anthony Richardson. I don't get like everyone kind of assumes he's already just so good, and I don't know. He hasn't shown me anything. Um,
Well, no, that's not true. He's shown you he knows how to get hurt. He
yeah,
knows
he
how to
sure
take
does. He sure
unnecessary
does.
contact with his shoulder and tear that
Yeah,
limp biscuit to pieces. Yeah.
yeah. He also shows how to be terrible in the SEC. Like I mean, like he's shown a lot of good stuff,
uh,
dude.
can I tell
Yeah.
you,
So I don't know.
I traded Bryce Young for a first round pick from a consistently winning team, and I slept so much
Yeah.
easier. I'm so
Didn't it feel
happy
good?
now. It feels great.
You need some
Get him
quarterback
out of
help at
here.
some point,
Whatever. Sam Howell or Daniel Jones will probably start week one.
dude. Sam Howell's not starting week one unless an
I
injury
would bet
happens. But
you $20 that Daniel Jones starts week one.
yeah, I think he probably will.
You've been anti Jones. I do not believe they drafted QB. I think they believe
Yeah,
in
I
him
mean,
in New York.
I think his leash is going to be short. I would see him. I think they're going to start him, and he's going to throw lots of good passes to his tight end one, Darren Waller, who's not retiring.
That's so tough. I can't believe Waller's going to retire. I honestly think he's just retiring because his wife lives in Vegas and he lives in New York and is miserable.
Yeah, I
That's
kind
the
of.
only explanation.
Yeah, I wonder if. Yeah, it really sucks he got traded. Yeah, that's such dog water. Anyway, so like I said, so I think we're getting multiple quarterback busts in this draft, and I think there's going to be some wide receiver busts too. Like I really think that this is not going to be all it's cracked up to be, and I think different than sorry, I got a bug trying to get me.
You good?
Um, I think differently than last year, where last year Gibbs was kind of out of it was kind of weird, right? Because Gibbs got drafted super high, and it was like that was really out of the blue for everyone in the dynasty community.
What I wouldn't
C.J.
give to
Stroud,
draft Gibbs instead of Bryce Young.
that'd have been nice. So Gibbs was in that situation. C.J. Stroud had some legitimate questions, like he doesn't have that high of an IQ apparently. So that's
What I wouldn't
and
give to
really just
draft Stroud instead of Bryce Young.
imagine where your team would be. It'd be so sick.
Oh
Yeah.
man!
So
Hey, it
anyway,
ended with Stephon
it
Diggs. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been
could have been a
worse.
lot.
Could have been a lot
Could have
better.
been more. Could have been better. I ended up, I still bring this up every time, man. Like when I was sitting there, I was so close to drafting Quentin Johnston over Kincaid. Like,
Oh, you would be so depressed. Uh,
yeah, I might have left the league. Like,
hey, we
well,
had
because
somebody leave the league twice this week. I mean,
so let me take you through real quick because this is funny.
please, please
I don't know
do.
if everyone knows it. So I think I had the 104 and the 105. So I had two lotto picks, and I get
Oh,
the 104 and the 105 with my lotto. And so that was like really a disaster for me. But my plan was to take, dude, what are you doing? Where are you going?
I'm not vaping.
Okay. He's not vaping. So you can vape on camera. It's not
Oh,
illegal.
I've been when we started this 2 years
Dude,
ago or
I'm,
whatever. Yeah. All right.
I'm
Cool.
drinking. Yeah. Anyway, uh, so I had the 104 and the 105, and I basically keep trading down. I kind of wanted Gibbs, like especially when he got drafted, but I was like, whatever. So I trade down, and then because Karsten needed a quarterback, and he was like he had no quarterbacks, and so I was like, dude,
Yeah.
you can have the 104, so you can take Stroud, and then I was worried he was going to take Gibbs instead of Stroud, which both of those would have been great picks. And anyway, I ended up trading.
Incredible.
I don't know what all the trades look like, but I ended up trading down where I only had the 107. And I'm sure like the trades were fine, like whatever they were, they're probably okay. Uh, but I trade down to the 107, and I'm sitting there, and it's like Quentin Johnston or Dalton Kincaid, and it's not like Kincaid like had a world beating year, but I think he has a lot of like there's a lot of good, like people are stoked on him,
You should be
dude.
excited. Yeah.
I
Yep.
I would be legitimately like I I'd be a pretty angry person if I would have to Quentin Johnston. I just
Who did draft QJ?
Dingman,
That's
Austin
right.
did.
Well, he turned him into
Yeah, but
something because
he
Ding's
had
team looks good. Like it looks.
well he had a pile of picks though, so he
Yeah.
just drafted in bulk, and
And
so
they,
for
other
him,
than QJ, he had no misses.
yeah. So he had what Addison. He drafted Gibbs. He drafted Addison. Who did he draft? He drafted tight end. I don't think he drafted tight end. He
Who
traded
who drafted Brock Purdy? Was that Chance or was that Ding?
Chance. Chance did. Oh, he drafted Levis. That's right. Dingman did.
Yeah, and
So
Levis might be
like a
something.
pretty yeah. So there was enough in there, so it wasn't like some disaster. So that made sense for him.
I
But
didn't know you were that
yeah,
close to drafting QJ.
so close, dude. Because I was trying to get Ridley off Sam, and he had Herbert,
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
oh, if I draft QJ, I
You could
can
flop
flip him
him.
for
Yeah.
yeah at some level,
Oh,
and
and
it
then you
just
never would have traded for Mike Williams, who, let's be honest, you don't believe until you own him, and then you're like, this guy's the man.
the best player in the world,
I so
dude.
badly want to trade back for Mike Williams, but
Dude, well, hey, we'll see. I'm keeping him 100% until he signs,
which is
which
smart.
I'm
Yeah.
shocked I'm shocked he hasn't signed yet. I don't know where else he I don't know. Like he's literally the only good wide receiver left. Like we're
Hey,
what
Juju's probably available.
I think he's under contract, man. He got a big
I think
contract
it
in
was like 3 years and 70 mil or
yeah.
some garbage like
Yeah, he
that.
got a massive contract
Just to get his knees drained every
over
3 weeks. What a mistake.
dude, it's pretty brutal. But
No good.
anyway, dude, I think we can call it there.
Fair
It's
enough.
good to see you again, and
Yeah.
dude, a lot of fun. Hey, go Cougs tonight, baby! 7:30 in Vegas, playing in the semifinals of
Oh,
the
really?
Pac-12
Are
tournament.
they going to
Yeah, it's
make
gonna be
the whatever, the March Madness tournament?
yeah,
I'm new to the
yeah,
college
dude.
basketball thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be playing in Spokane potentially. If they win tonight, they play in Spokane probably.
Oh, I would go to that. That's good to know.
Uh, how's your bank account?
Oh, is it that bad?
Probably yeah. I mean, for the local team, dude, yeah,
In my
it's gonna
brain,
be through
it's
the
college ball and it's playoffs, whatever, whatever. So like $80 a ticket gets me there. Are you talking like 4 digits? 4 digits?
oh 4. I don't know. I actually don't know. I know like so the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 are here in LA,
Yeah,
and it's several $100 a ticket for sure.
dude,
But
that's
these are the Spokane ones will be the round of 64 and the round of 32.
yeah.
So
I'll have to look into that because that would be so fun.
I
Also,
thought about
I've
going
never
over there this
missed
weekend.
Kent more than when it comes to going to sporting events.
I know, dude.
M's are coming up, and
Sucks.
I have to drive like 5 hours to go to a game. The best we've got
Yeah.
is a under 21 youth whatever hockey team, and it's trash. You got to drink at least three
You don't
tall
like
boys before you enjoy it.
the Spokane shoes, the Chiefs?
That's the hockey
Spokane
team.
Chiefs?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an
the Chiefs,
under
I think. Yeah.
21 like
I've
youth.
been to Chiefs games, baby. I
They're
know,
fun
dude.
enough, but like, man, I never thought I'd miss the Mariners more than I do right now.
I know, dude. I know it sucks, man. I mean, you got like you go to college football in Pullman, like
Yep,
you can go do that. But yeah, in terms of baseball, you're out. I mean, you have basketball and football kind of
kind of.
like
Yeah.
you've got Gonzaga basketball and
Gonzaga
you've got
tickets are
Washington
still
State.
kind of steep. They're not
Right.
M's level, nosebleed, $25. Have a good
Yeah.
time.
So there's something there, like
Yeah. It's not
we'll
great.
see.
It's not great.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, it's been fun. Watch this on double speed,
See you
please.
soon.
That's worthless information at the end of the video, but